Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about a new chapter, that is molecular basis of inheritance. This is somewhat extension of the chapter biomolecules from the 11th standard, and here what we will discuss in this chapter, we will see what is inheritance, and what are the molecules that are going to be inherited from one generation to one generation, that is DNA and RNA. We will see the structure of DNA and how that complex polymer is formed in the form of DNA strands and RNA, and what are the differences between DNA and RNA, and why DNA is acting as a genetic material in most of the organisms, and why RNA is present as a genetic material in very less number of organisms. The difference we will see, and the process of the transcription, translation, genetic code, and human genome project. So all these topics in the chapter of molecular basis of inheritance we will see. And here, before a transcription, there are different contributions done by different scientists. Contributions of different scientists. So how they discovered the nucleus, and how they discovered the chromosomes and the genetic material, and what are the experiments done by them to prove that DNA or RNA is the genetic material, not other molecules that are inherited. Only the DNA or RNA in the form of genetic material, they are inherited from one generation to another generation. How they are proved? So all those experiments, transformation experiments, transduction experiments, we will discuss in this chapter in detailed manner. So as a part of that, today we will discuss about inheritance and DNA and RNA. So what is inheritance? Inheritance is nothing but the transmission of something from one generation to next generation. See here, for example, property. Our father property will be inherited, that means transmitted to us. Like that, something at the molecular level, at the micro level, that is inherited, that is transferred from one generation to the next generation. That means from parents to offsprings. Inheritance means transmission or transfer from parents to offsprings. That is inheritance. But here we are discussing molecular basis of inheritance. So what are the molecules that are transferred from parents to their offsprings? So what are that molecules? Here, for example, from mother and father, the offsprings will become offsprings. So how the offsprings will come? Before going to that, we have to know the condition, that is diploid condition, haploid condition. So what is diploid and haploid? These terms will denote the sets of chromosomes. In our human body, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes. So every cells in our body, we have 46 chromosomes, except in the haploid cells. Those are gametes. the only haploid cells in our body is gametes. In gametes we have only one set of chromosomes. That means out of 23 pairs means one set. Here we are having only 23 chromosomes. Out of 46 we are having only 23 chromosomes. That means only one set. So this is haploid condition. If we have 46 chromosomes in a cell, that is diploid condition. For example, if you take another organism, it is having 18 pairs of chromosomes, that is total 36 chromosomes. Haploid means, haploid will be denoted by N. Diploid will be denoted by 2N. Diploid means di means 2. Triploid, tri, is denoted by 3N. Tetraploid is denoted by 4N. Like this. And here, for the example, another organism having 36 number of chromosomes total. If it is N means 36 by 2, that is 18. 2N means 36. 3N, if you want 3N, 18 into 3. If you want 4N, 18 into 4. Like this. So this is the difference between the haploid set and diploid set. Haploid is denoted by N and diploid is denoted by 2N. Like this. Now, each and every cell in our human body, in any organism, are diploid, but only the gametes are haploid. The gametes are haploid. Now, mother will produce gametes in the form of ovum, and that ovum is having only one set of chromosomes. If it is diploid, we are having 44 chromosomes plus X and X. This is total 46 number of chromosomes that is present in the females. And in father, 44 plus XY. This is total 46 set chromosomes. Now, the gametes, as we discussed, these are haploid. So the gametes from the mother we are calling as ovum. Here ovum contains only 22 plus 1x. This is one ovum. 22 plus x, total 23 chromosomes. These are the ovums. And father contains X and Y. So here 22 plus X, some sperms. Here the gamete is in the form of sperms. So the sperms contains different gametes, and some are 22 plus X and some are 22 plus Y. So this is the haploid set and this is the haploid set. Now see, if this ovum is fertilized by this sperm, now again 44 plus XX, this is a zygote, and this ovum is fertilized by this sperm, again 44 plus X comma Y. So this is one zygote. So this new zygote having XY set, this develops into male embryo, and this zygote having X and X, so this zygote will develops into female embryo. So this is how the male and female factor will be decided in the zygote. It is completely depend upon the fusion of sperm which is having either X or Y. If the X set containing sperm will be fused with the ovum, the zygote will be, or the embryo will be female. If the sperm containing Y set and it is fused with the X containing ovum, then the resultant will be the male embryo. This is how the male and female embryos will be formed. Now here what you observe, the transfer of chromosomes, that is ultimately the genetic material, it is transferring from mother and father to the offsprings. So that's why now we have to learn about the structure of DNA. So ultimately that is the molecule that is transferred from one generation to another generation. In this video we will discuss about the structure of DNA and how it is acting as a genetic material and what is there in that to store the genetic information, and what are the different structures and what are the different types of DNAs are present, and the scientists behind the discoveries we will discuss now. DNA is full form deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. So what is the structure of deoxyribonucleic acid? What are there in that? DNA contains deoxyribose sugar, nitrogen bases, and phosphate groups. Now, if deoxyribose sugar and nitrogen bases are present, those molecules are known as nucleosides. And for the nucleosides, the phosphate group is added, then that is known as nucleotides. Now, as we discussed, do you know that the wall can be constructed with the help of bricks? So here the brick is the structural and functional unit of a wall. Like that, in the same manner, here the DNA is constructed with the nucleotides. So nucleotides are the structural units. Nucleotides are the structural units of DNA. One nucleotide is one monomer, and all the monomers are fused together to form a long stranded polymer. So this is how the DNA will be formed, with the help of multiple units of nucleotides. Now we will see the structure of deoxyribose sugar, nitrogen base, phosphate groups, and how they attach and where they will attach we will discuss. This concept belongs to biochemistry, and we have to remember the bonds: glycosidic bond, phosphoester bond, phosphodiester bond, hydrogen bonds. We have to know where they are present, to which carbon they are attaching. All those details we will see now. First of all, we will see the structure of deoxyribose sugar. Ribose means the sugar which contains 5 carbon compounds. So this is the structure of ribose sugar. Deoxyribose sugar. So here first carbon, second, third, fourth and fifth carbon. These are having 5 carbon compounds. Okay, and RNA contains ribonucleic acid. And what is the main difference between deoxyribose sugar and ribose sugar? deoxy. That means it is not having oxygen group in the second carbon. But the sugar molecule present in the RNA that is having oxygen in the second carbon, like this. This is the main difference between the sugar molecule present in DNA and RNA. And now, how the nucleotides or sugars, nitrogen bases and phosphate groups are attached to the DNA, we will see now. Nitrogen bases are attached to first carbon compound with the help of glycosidic bond, glycosidic linkage, and the phosphate group is attached to the fifth carbon of the ribose sugar. Molecular level, how they will form the polymer, we will see now. This is one monomer, this is called as a one nucleotide. That means having sugar, nitrogen base and phosphate group. This is one nucleotide, one monomer. How it will form a polymer? That much long stretch of DNA molecule, how it will form? Now, first of all, I am drawing one nucleotide, and with that we will construct a polymer. Carefully you can observe. And this is nitrogen base. And here we have to know what are the nitrogen bases. Two types, purines and pyrimidines. So what are purines? Adenine and guanine, thiamine, cytosine, uracil. These are the pyrimidines. But here we have to observe this uracil is absent in DNA and present in RNA instead of thiamine. So in RNA, thiamine is replaced by uracil. So these are the major two differences between DNA and RNA. DNA is having deoxy ribose sugar. RNA is having ribose sugar. So oxygen is not there at second carbon molecule. And another major difference is the presence of uracil in RNA instead of thiamine. Okay. Now, I am drawing here another ribose sugar. This is very important. You have to observe carefully. See now, how the linkage established between these two. This linkage is known as phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond. The linkage is established between two nucleotides is by phosphodiester bond. Here what will happen? The phosphate group, how? PO4 minus will be formed. See here. Like this. See the bond between this O and the bond between this O will be shared by the phosphate molecule. So here this is phosphate group, and this bond is ester bond, this is ester bond, in between phosphate is there, so this is known as phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond. Like this, again one more molecule will come. Here this is nitrogen base, and here now again see here, this is one phosphodiester bond. This is ester linkage and this is ester linkage, and these two are known as phosphodiester linkage. So this is how the linkage is established between two different nucleotide molecules and help them in the formation of a long polymer. Okay, now this is one strand. As we know that DNA is a double-stranded structure. DNA is double-stranded structure. So how this double-stranded are forming? This is only one strand. This is all about one strand. And what about the remaining strand? This is another strand. And the structure will be the same. And here we have to know the Chargaff rule. Chargaff's rule. He is a famous scientist who discovered that the linkage, how the linkage is established between two polymers of a DNA molecule. He had given a phenomenon, Chargaff's rule, that is adenine is always linked with thymine and guanine is always linked with cytosine. This linkage is established by hydrogen bonds. So these two are connected with the help of hydrogen bonds. There are two number of hydrogen bonds between adenine and thymine, and there is 3 hydrogen bonds present in between guanine and cytosine. So due to that attraction, the two strands are wind together and forms a helical structure. So this is how, for example, in this place it is having adenine, and from here it is having thymine, and in the place of this one it is having guanine, it will have cytosine. If it has cytosine, this strand has guanine. Now the linkage will be established, the bond is formed with the help of hydrogen bonds. Like this now the two strands will form. This is the structure, molecular structure of DNA. See here, the two strands of DNA is linked together with the help of hydrogen bonds. And in the one strand, the two successive nucleotides are connected by phosphodiester bond. And the nitrogen base is attached to the sugar molecule with the help of glycosidic bond. So this is very important. We can note down how many bonds are there total in a DNA molecule. First one, glycosidic bond. Glycosidic bond. This is between deoxyribose sugar and nitrogen base. So where this bond is established? in the first carbon compound of deoxyribose sugar. This is first carbon, this is second carbon, third one, fourth one, and fifth one. And second one, phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond. This is established between third carbon and fifth carbon of two nucleotides. Here the term successive is very important. Two successive nucleotides. This is the third carbon and this is the fifth carbon. So this is a phosphodiester bond. And third one is hydrogen bond. This is present between two nitrogen bases. Two nitrogen bases of two different strands, not in a single strand, two different strands. Here they can ask in the true or false questions, type of questions. They can simply change these terms here, like example, between two nitrogen bases of a same strand, they can ask true or false. That is a false. So these things you have to remember every time very carefully, and you have, while attempting questions also, you have to read the sentence once or twice. Okay. Now this is about the structure of DNA. And again, one more interesting fact I will discuss with you now. See, this is a cell and this is the nucleus, and in the nucleus we have the genetic material, that is DNA. If you take out the DNA and if you unwind the DNA, it is absolutely about 2.2 meters length. See, this is the interesting fact. 2.2 meters of DNA is fitted in the nucleus and in the cell, which is not invisible to a naked eye. So how it is possible? That much DNA is fitted in the minute or microscopic cell. How it is possible? This is possible with the help of a special group of proteins. A special group of proteins. Those are histone proteins. Histone proteins. This topic is packaging of DNA. Packaging of DNA. How the DNA, that much length DNA is packaged into a naked, very minute or microscopic cell. How it is packaged? So this topic is packaging of DNA. So what are the histone proteins? Those are 8 in number. They formed as a octamer. You have to imagine in 3D, 4 are this side and another 4 are back side. So all these 8 proteins are formed as a single protein, and this protein is known as histone octamer. Octamer means 8. 8 proteins are fused or assembled at single place and formed as a octamer. This is one histone protein. Now, so what are these 8 proteins? H2A, H2B, H3, H4 and into 2. So these are the 8 proteins which is formed as an octamer. Now, as we know that opposite charges are attracted to each other. Like positive charge is attracted towards negative charge, and negative charge is attracted towards positive charge, and like charges are repel each other. and opposite charges are attracted each other. Now, why I am discussing this topic here is, here we have to consider the histone proteins as a positive charged protein molecules. Histones are positively charged proteins, and DNA is negatively charged molecule. Why it is negative? It is containing phosphate groups PO4 minus. Understanding this is very important topic, and they can ask why the attraction is established between histone proteins and DNA molecules. That is due to opposite charges. How opposite charges are there? Because histone proteins contains most of the number of lysine amino acids. Due to lysine is a positively charged amino acid, it is positively charged protein. And here in DNA we are having phosphate group PO4 minus. So due to the presence of this negative charge in each and every nucleotide, that negative charge will be increased in the DNA. So this negatively charged DNA is attracted towards the positively charged histone proteins. The histone proteins are present in the nucleoplasm. Nucleoplasm means the cytoplasm which is present in the nucleus. So these are the histone proteins. These are the histone proteins. Now, this DNA will come and wrap or attracted towards the histone proteins. So DNA is coming like this, and it is wrapping twice along the histone octamer. And here also again it is wrapping. It is winding like this. So here itself, for example, it is 10 meters, it is decreased to 1 meter, and again next level of compaction takes place, and again it is decreased, and during the metaphase of a cell division it is again compacted, and that much length DNA will be formed in the form of chromosomes like this. So this much compaction takes place, and that's why that much lengthy DNA is fitted into a very microscopic nucleus. So this is how the compaction takes place. So this unit, the chromatin plus histone molecule, is formed as a one unit, and this unit is known as nucleosome. That is known as nucleosome. So here multiple nucleosomes are there, and all the nucleosomes are called as chromatin. So this chromatin contains histones plus DNA. Understanding? First of all, we discussed about DNA. DNA contains nitrogen bases, deoxyribose sugar plus phosphate groups. This is about DNA. Now the next level, how the DNA is packaged. It is packaged with the help of a proteins known as histone proteins. So here nucleosome contains DNA plus histones. So this multiple number of nucleosomes are called as chromatin, and the chromatin in the metaphase stage of cell division, it is highly condensed into the form of chromosomes. So this is the structural organization of genetic material that is present in a cell. And here these are 8 proteins, and one more protein is there, that is this one. Here it has H1 protein. So it is acting as a linker. It will links between two different nucleosomes. So that is also known as linker protein. Linker protein. So one nucleosome contains the DNA present in the one nucleosome. It contains 200 base pairs. if you take out this DNA present around the one chromatin, if you take from here, this is here one more H1 protein is there. So from this one H1 protein to this H1 protein, the DNA contains 200 base pairs. Base pairs means nitrogen bases, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. How many are there? So that will be 200 in number. So this is about the packaging of DNA and how the structural organization is present and how that much lengthy DNA was compacted into a microscopic nucleus is about this one. And in the next class we will see about the structure of RNA and why DNA is more important and more evolved, and so many organisms are having genetic material as DNA. So how it is possible? So very less number of organisms are having RNA as a genetic material. So what are the reasons for that? And what are the structural drawbacks present in the RNA that leads to very less evolution of RNA as a genetic material in most of the organisms? So all those things we will discuss in the next class. Thank you.